Hi, everybody. This is the second Phlarp Podcast. I'm the host, one of the hosts, Jason Smith, out of North.
And I'm Brandon, also known as Daveen Alwyn.
And I'm Chris, also Eric the Red.
And then our special guest today, guest co-host is...
Heston Iverson, or Cody.
Okay, yeah, and Cody is the same person that we had last time on the podcast, but this time I wanted to make sure that we did bring him back because I meant to ask everybody a particular set of questions that we bring on as guests, and they are the ones we didn't answer last time are and actually we'll just do that first, but I'm going to go ahead and run through the whatever topics I had. Do you guys have... I guess I just wrote down what your topics were, so just so everybody knows, the topics we're going over today are potentially some of the combat rules, because I wanted to go over some combat rules because we did what it takes for, like, what is a normal day at Phlarp.
Yeah.
And if you didn't know what combat was, that whole normal day thing would be, like, useless, basically, if you didn't understand how we played events. So I was thinking about going over a little bit of the combat rules, maybe some of the first level abilities, and maybe the shipwreck, but we might not get to all this. And then some of the topics that other people had brought up was... Oh, and I wanted to talk a little bit more about fighting defensively for roleplay and for the patrol scenarios. I know we had talked about that a little bit during LARP, but go over that some more. And then some other topics that other people brought up was the idea of staying a squire, or what is the limits of staying a squire so that you're immune to higher level abilities. And the usage of Black Knight, which we may have already figured out, but I still got it down here as a topic. And then also we have the leveling progression or speed is also a topic that we're going to try to hit on a little bit. Does anybody have anything that I didn't mention as just a topic?
I just got a message from Lord Rainwalker, and he would like us to go over the rule of a graze. Because apparently there is some... apparently it wasn't clarified correctly to some people, so they're kind of using it for something else. So they just want us to kind of fine-tune that so that
fair.
everybody knows.
That's fair.
Okay. And yeah, I guess let's see. And then the other thing I just wanted to mention, and then of course we'll do a recap, and then we're going to expand on the topics, and then we'll do the suggestion box at the end of the show. But just before we get started, too, another thing I wanted to mention is we do have a Patreon. There's a few different tiers. Most of them are just for people that are already playing and wanting to purchase membership. So if you are a player and you want to purchase membership, that is the cheapest way to do it, is through our Patreon. But also if you're just a spectator, sort of, and you just kind of like the content that we create, but you don't necessarily LARP with us, there is a tier of the Patreon that would cover for that, too. It's only $3 a month. And then we also are on Facebook, and I guess mainly that's the main one. We have a Discord as well.
And a YouTube.
Yeah, and our YouTube channel. I forgot about that. Yeah, and I guess that's it.
You want to start with the recap from the weekend?
Yeah, let's do that. Well, actually, let me ask these questions to the co-host here, because I wanted to get back to that. It's only a couple anyway.
Okay.
You had said your name, but I was just, for the listeners, how long have you played with LARP?
Yeah, I guess I'm going on like 9 or 10 years now, I think.
Basically from the beginning.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I was definitely pretty much there from the very start of it all. So that's pretty cool, I guess, seeing it like go from the beginning to like our huge numbers, and then what happened afterwards. Yeah, I've
the times we moved a few times.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of it.
And also this might be a little bit like of a complicated question, but it doesn't have to be a complicated question. You can answer it very simply if you'd like. I'm just curious, why do you LARP? Like, why do you Phlarp? Why do you like Phlarp? What do you get out of it?
It gets me out of the house, and it's I like the combat aspect and the role play. It's just fun, and I like I've always liked theory crafting with abilities and stuff. So, what you can do. So yeah, I think it's just the whole package.
Cool. All right. Yeah, that was about it. I just want to I just think it's important to cover that with our co-host, and I don't know, it's a cool question to ask people as why they LARP. I always like hearing people's answers. So
Yeah, definitely.
And then what did you say? Oh, the recap. Okay, yeah.
So we had a melee tournament today for the first time since we've reopened. I think it went pretty well.
I believe it did too.
Rand Rainwalker, Lord Rand Rainwalker came in first place. Aridin and Pora came in second, and Raven Shadow Weaver, he came in third.
I think it was. I think it went well. My only suggestion would be like so like a losers bracket, so that like if you don't just like automatically in like a position where like you got a bad draw, so you're just kind of out immediately. Like it's kind of happened to me, admittedly, but I think having just like a losers bracket is generally like helps kind of get a better idea of like where people rank in skill.
Yeah.
As a possible idea.
I mean, that's fair.
In the
I will say this is the very first one we've done.
Yeah.
There's always room for improvement.
Yeah, definitely.
and in the book of events, it basically works exactly like you had it, basically, except for it has an optional section, which it is optional for a wild card or losers bracket. So
I will
we
say
do know that like can be a thing. It's just
Yeah.
sometimes that can be really time consuming too.
Yeah,
and
no,
take up the whole
definitely.
day. So
Yeah, we definitely. And the other thing too is, we didn't. I personally don't feel like we quite had the numbers to do a losers bracket today. We had 12 participants today in the melee tournament, so had there been more numbers, I think that would have been
More
a better
viable.
opportunity to do
Yeah,
something
that's
like
fair.
that. Or
Yeah.
even if I had like another set of referees, I think that would have gone particularly well, because then we could have run like 2 at a time, which obviously would have gone twice as fast. So
that's true. Where you could do both teams at the same or both matches at the same time. Run 2 matches concurrently or whatever. Yeah. Yeah, that'd work out good.
yeah,
And then we also had our Halloween costume contest today,
Yeah.
which was real cool.
it was very cool. People had some cool costumes.
Yeah, definitely.
It was neat to have people focus on costumes, which I guess they weren't necessarily the ones who won. But, oh, well, no. Siren's costume wasn't really
No, yeah.
related.
No.
It was very good.
She was just like a scary bride or something.
Yeah, I think she called herself a Black Widow.
Nice.
She had like a dagger behind her back and stuff. It was kind of cool. And
That
then
makes sense.
Lord Rand Rainwalker actually won the costume contest today as well.
Yeah, he has a cool outfit, and adding the like the banner to his shoulder like they did was a very smart idea.
Yeah, I think that and the addition of that shoulder armor is really what set him
Yeah.
apart today.
Yeah, definitely. It looked great.
And sometimes it's easy to get apathetic to his costume because he has worn it for so long. But he really does have a really good costume.
Yeah. And then for the life of me, I cannot. Oh, Vix. Vix came in third place. She had that homemade moth. I don't even know what you'd call it really, but
Yeah,
it was
either
really cool.
butterfly or moth or-
It was a moth. I asked
Oh,
her about
okay.
it, but it was really cool. I guess I don't know if she crocheted that or.
Yeah, she crocheted.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it did look really cool, but I think that was part of why she won too, is because people recognized that
That's
was a
why
little
I
bit more
voted for it,
difficult of
yeah.
a thing to create.
Yeah, she said like it took her months, I think, to make it.
Wow,
so-
I didn't know that. I just know that she was very adamant about being there for the costume contest
Yeah.
today, and I understand why. If you put
Yeah.
that much effort into something, you want to be able to show it off.
Oh, of course. Of course. Yeah, she crochets a lot. She actually has like a treasure box that she had made for a different LARP group, and I mean it's got like a tongue and teeth and everything.
Oh,
And I mean, like she crocheted all of it herself, and I mean it was awesome. So
Like a mimic? Is that what you're talking about? A treasure chest with teeth? Is that what
yeah,
you
it sounds like
Yeah.
a mimic. Yeah.
Mhm.
You know,
what a
and
mimic
also, I know they didn't place in the top 3, but I do think that there should be a shout out for Sloane's costume also.
Yeah,
that
I
was
was
a
thinking
really
that.
cool costume, and I was kind of
Yeah.
disappointed it didn't make it into the top 3, really.
right.
That was a really elaborate costume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it was some kind of, it was like a satyr almost or something. It was very, very cool.
Yeah.
Another
And-
thing too we could start doing with that or I was kind of thinking when somebody was talking about doing it somehow, it would be better if we could figure out how to streamline it anyway where it didn't take forever. If we could vote on that like somehow anonymously, where we just write their names down on a piece of paper or something, because I do feel like it turns into a little bit of popularity contest.
Oh, yeah.
Or like some people
Or
vote
they're
for
like-
somebody
or they're
'cause
like-
they feel bad that they need a vote,
Right.
and
Yeah. I mean, that happens.
which I guess that's not bad.
Or they're
thing, but
voting for their friends, and
Yeah.
like had they
been
had their
able to-
friends not staring at them, they may have voted for someone else.
Yeah.
Uh huh.
Yeah, because you could see some people staring right out of it. They're like raising their head, like, "Okay, man, I'm gonna vote." for
Right,
it."
right.
Okay.
Like
got
I was
your
gonna
back.
vote for somebody else, but okay, yeah. I
Yeah.
did get those vibes a little bit today too.
Which I guess we would all just be like, just pass out maybe like a half a piece of index card or
Sure.
something and be like, write whoever you think.
And I could just go around and collect them. It could be pretty simple.
We could almost do it in just one go that way too, where we didn't have the top 3 and then go between the top 3. Just do all of them all at once.
Yeah, you would
Yeah.
just for ties, basically, you would have to like
Oh,
revote
yeah.
for ties.
Also, it
True.
just kind of feels bad when like you're standing up there and no one votes for you.
Yeah, and you look
Yeah.
around, you don't know whether it's
Yeah.
successful or not.
It happened to a few
Would
people
be
today.
better
It was
than
kind of
if-
sad.
Yeah.
But also the way we had it set up, you only had 3 votes. And so like the costumes that really stood out are the ones that got the majority of the votes. So I did feel bad for a couple people that didn't get any votes, but at the same time you only had 3 votes. Like
Yeah.
so it definitely was swayed in the direction of 4 or 5 people that had really, really good costumes today.
But yeah.
That was pretty much a recap. We did try that Bannerman.
We only played a few games, I guess, really today because of that
Yeah.
Bannerman took so
Yeah,
long.
we had the melee
Yeah.
tournament, the costume contest, the last man standing.
King of the Hill.
And we played a King of the Ring,
King of the
while
Ring.
the melee tournament was going on, which is a pretty fun game. I mean, they did play that quite a while, even after
Yeah.
the melee tournament ended. So.
And then I really I know that there were some people that were pretty unhappy with Bannerman today, but I feel like a couple little changes and that game's a lot better.
Yeah, I
It
just
is
think,
fast paced.
Yeah, I just think
sure is.
having the time to hold the flag being like cut in half.
Lessened.
Yeah, that it was too long for sure.
Yeah, we had it at 10 seconds per player on one team. You know, like
And just think that was only 7 players today. Imagine if we had, I mean, per team. You know what I mean? But imagine if that's 15 or 20 people per team.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Like that would be a lifetime almost. It would seem like
I would even be fine with capping it. Be like, this is what it's got to be, but it's less if you have less people. But it only is going to go up this high. And
Right.
That's it.
yeah, maybe like a max of a minute or something
Yeah.
like that. Because yeah, I do think we approached 40 seconds today. I don't know that it actually ever hit 40 seconds, but it was very close.
Yeah.
It was close.
High 30s for sure. But yeah, I mean, it just was way too long. I think that was the problem with Bannerman today. I actually,
Yeah, we could have halved it that time. that
we-
we
oh
were-
yeah, and realistically, I think that would have been fair. And it forces the other team to attack the dudes holding the flag. They can't sit back for 10 minutes like they were doing and gathering people and stuff. You know,
You gotta be more aggressive.
But it did. I mean, you know, it wasn't all one-sided. It did go back and forth where
Yeah.
they were holding it for a while and then they would drop it. And even a couple times when he was at the res point, that lock, the combination lock, worked out for that game, to where it was like it was a perfect kind of like little thing you got to do.
Right.
It requires you to put all your attention towards it. Because before they would just go by and like, you know, do whatever they need to do as quick as possible. But there's no real way to speed that up other than, hey, watch me while I unlock this because I can't,
Yeah.
yeah.
you know, I can't defend myself while I'm doing this, you know.
Sure, and I do think that there were other issues today too. I think there were some strategical issues from one of the teams today that had they had other people holding or being the bannerman, it would have went a lot better for them.
The teams were a little uneven, and we had some people kind of.
Well, that was the problem. There were 4 people that quit during that game.
Yeah.
4.
Yeah.
For different reasons.
4 out of 14 is not good to quit during a game.
Yeah.
Really, none of those reasons was because the game was messed
No.
up, other than possibly that time. Them feeling like the time was too long. But,
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
had 2
We figured that out. so-
walked off because of gameplay reasons but the other 2 were completely situational.
And like something I'd like to piggyback on is, you know, you saying that, you know, you're having to focus all your attention onto that lock. And, like, again, you know, I'm a veteran, so we have simple tasks that we would have to do in the military. And it's like, you would be, you know, doing things to get your heart rate up. And then all of a sudden, you know, you have to perform a simple menial task with your hands, and it's like you're just fumbling. And so when that adrenaline is going and you're trying to, you know, just mess with something small, you're just like, I can't do it. I can't, you know. So it's like you have to focus, and then it's all like also, you know, a couple times it's like, okay, guys, you know, can you have my back a little bit?
Yeah, you cannot just go do
Yeah,
that.
you can't just
Yeah.
do that because you
Yeah.
got to constantly look around. So I definitely like that aspect. So
And
I
it-
think
yeah.
that was definitely good.
Because there was an issue with Bannerman before where they would cap it and then continuously just keep capping each thing over and over and over. And then with the lock like that, you can't do that. You can't grab the flag, run to the next base, and just be like, okay, I'm going to do this all by myself. You can't be the hero. You've got to have somebody else there with you, or you're going to lose the game.
There's a
I do
you're gonna
remember
drop the
that. I
flag over
remember
them.
some of the faster players from when we played Bannerman before. They would be able to get like to second base, and then because of how the spawning worked, they could just literally run around in a circle and nobody could do anything about it.
Yeah, I remember that was always a complaint back when we did capture the flag and stuff. Where it's like, oh well, the fastest players, whoever had the fastest players in their team won because they would just grab the flag and they were gone.
Well, I think we ended up having more problems with capture the flag later on because we had like abilities that had like mass AoE effects and stuff like that. It was
Yeah.
kind of an issue.
Dumbass.
Yeah, I agreed.
Dumbass.
I'll take the award today. But yeah, I mean, like we had like what was it, ground pound or whatever was an ability where you could just like go in as a warrior and literally stun everybody within like a 15-foot area, which makes capture the flag nearly impossible. I don't know. Anyway, it is what it is.
I think we already know who wins the award this week.
I can't speak. Okay, I don't know what to say, but it made that game nearly impossible because you could just go in, use the AoE effect, grab the flag, and then run basically like
You
back
had
to
a
your base. There was no,
high-powered wizard who could throw like lava wall or whatever.
yeah, they had that frisbee ability or whatever where they could literally teleport. Like there's just like some of the abilities got so broken that it like wouldn't work during capture the flag.
The way it'll work now is your flag will actually be locked to the base. So
Okay.
to remove the flag, it's going to have that loop that comes off the flag is going to be locked into a loop connected to the.
That's fair. I mean, some of those
Base.
abilities will still be broken for that game, but because one of those AoE abilities, you can literally kill an entire team,
Yeah.
and
yeah,
then.
the higher level abilities. Yeah.
But I mean, that's an issue, I guess,
Even
to
the
worry
low-
about whenever we get
Technically,
there.
even the low-level abilities, like a couple webs, like you just stuck.
I mean,
there
that
for-
works for a couple people, but I'm like
Yeah.
those AoE abilities are the ones that I'd be seriously concerned with.
Mm.
And it also changes the dynamic of getting a flag too. Like if I got your flag, I lock it into my base. So if you go to get your flag back because my flag's gone, now I've made it to where you can't even get your flag back without taking some work, taking somebody with you, doing something, killing
Right.
everybody at once or whatever, like you were saying, doing something. And what you were saying originally, were you saying the aspect of not being able to use abilities with the flag was a good change, or what were you saying there? What about the abilities? What how'd you
In
start
reference
that?
to the Bannerman or a reference to capture the flag?
Capture the flag, I guess. You were saying
Yeah, I mean,
something.
I think once some of those higher level abilities are in the game, or like once people get enough level, like there might have to be some changes specifically with that game, because I think if somebody goes in and uses one of those crazy AoEs and like kills an entire team, it's just going to be grab the flag and run back. So, I mean, I'm sure you could plan for that in some way, and there are abilities that like that you can use in order to not be stunned and stuff like that. But I do think that the idea of one player who's higher level than everybody else controlling the game like that is kind of stupid.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So it might need some more balancing whenever
When
people
we
start
get
getting
there.
really powerful.
Yeah. I'll say this too. I know it really wasn't discussed, but one of the things I noticed today when we were playing Bannerman that I got a small chuckle out of, I guess, is that I noticed with the attacking team, there was basically one person doing all of the locks for that team, and it was their rogue. And I thought that that was really clever. I don't know if they did it on purpose. I'm not sure. But I thought it was hilarious that the rogue was the one picking all the locks.
Yeah,
like
that's true.
I thought to myself, that is hilarious. And I don't know that it went like noticed
Yeah,
by
I
many
noticed,
people.
Yeah, I noticed a few times where it was just like him and one other person running at the point by themselves a lot, and they
Yeah.
would like start messing with it, and then they'd get killed, and then momentum would like completely shift.
Yeah, the 2 times I killed the person at the lock thing, it was the same guy.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
Was it Ufutin?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
he was the one that was pretty much doing the lock picking for that team.
I was supposed to be the flag runner, but I dropped it to throw some magic stones, and then it got picked up immediately. And
I think it's hard to have a dedicated bannerman in that game.
yeah,
So
Yeah, because it changes hands so much.
yeah, and sometimes you just can't leave. You can't leave the flag down for that long because, like, I can't wait for the bannerman to go res and get back. Like, it has to be picked up.
yeah,
And I also will say this, and without getting into any names or anything like that, I think when you're playing a game like that, whoever is in charge of the team has to understand that there's certain fighters that have no business picking up that flag, that they need to have their weapons in hand the entire time. And I did notice that I felt like that was one of the major errors by the one team today, is that their best player held onto the banner way too much.
Oh yeah, no, I kind of agree.
He has no business doing that. If
Yeah.
I'm the leader of that team, I'm saying you don't pick up that flag. Like, I want you with your weapons out the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like that was an error on that team, but I wasn't playing, so I kept my mouth shut. But I did feel like that could have gone better for that team too. So,
And I guess that's what you're saying. That's one of the aspects that was related to how well they performed, and not necessarily or their tactics or something, not
Right.
necessarily the game itself.
yeah, I think that they could have done some better things, but again, I wasn't playing, so
Dominion also works now with locks. To capture a base, it's got 2 rings, and you have to have only your lock on the ring, and it starts with everybody's locks on the ring.
fair enough. That
So
may
you
be
have to move 'em all
that may be
down,
the game I was thinking of.
and then you have to move 'em
Is that
back up.
kind of in a square as well? Dominion?
It can be, yeah. Sometimes we play with 2 extra bases, or you're supposed to play with 1 extra base more than what you have of teams, but you can play.
That
with
was the
multiple
capture the
teams.
base game, though, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's the game I was thinking of, where there was just like one fast player that would run basically to 4
Ahead of
base. It was over.
everybody.
Like, how did that happen that quickly?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I think overall that it was a fairly positive experience, because I think we can fix it moving forward.
Yeah, that was a good testing of that game.
Yeah.
And it gave us a lot of information going forward on what to change about it and what to improve and whatever. So, and then I guess that was a total of 5 games that we played.
Yeah.
Last man standing and.
Yeah, I
melee
mean, in the
tournament.
costume contest took some time, and the melee tournament took some time, so
Yeah,
it was kind of a light day as far as games, but I
was
think they
also
were
kind of-
overall positive.
a bit nasty out there because it was slick,
Mm-hmm.
easy to trip, and kind of muddy. And
We still had a decent turnout, though.
yeah,
Yeah.
better than I thought.
Yeah, I mean, what did we have? Close to I want
Probably
to
close
say
to 20.
close to 20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is pretty good considering the weather and.
Well, we got
I mean,
lucky.
it was literally raining when we got
Yeah,
there.
we got lucky. It didn't pour down or rain really at all. It was missing a little bit when I left, and then it was pretty much as nice as you could hope it to be.
And we didn't have any new people, I guess, this week. So
No,
No.
so no
But-
patrol.
some of that probably had to do with the weather and stuff
Yeah.
too. So.
But that was basically, I mean, I think that's a good recap of what happened today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. So then I guess that's the. So now we'll expand the topics more than what we already did. I'm gonna go over some of one of these because mine I was just real vague with mine. So, but I did have fighting defensively for role play scenarios and then on patrol. There was somebody that had left, and I talked to you about this a little bit, but there's somebody that had left a comment on the last podcast talking about how people during the patrol were getting.
Overwhelmed.
Yeah, we're overwhelming the new people. And I just feel, and maybe I'm projecting my own, but for me, how I interpreted it, but for me, something that really helped me a lot is to not say, instead of saying, oh, take a fall, or, don't fight as hard against this person or anything, or to make it to where you're not having to act at all, is to just fight defensively. For some people that clicks where or for me it does, I guess. And I'm assuming that for other people maybe it might too, is that to hear that and be like, oh yeah, well, all I gotta do is fight defensively. That doesn't mean I have to, take a death. Basically, I don't have to take a dive. I just fight defensively until they get in on me, and then I'm gonna die. And if it's not challenging enough to fight just one of them, jump in the middle of them, try to defend yourself against 3 of them. During patrol, say.
Right.
And that there's going to be no downside to that for the new people that are trying to do the patrol or whatever, because even like I was telling you is that I would even role play in, they're not even fighting back much, get more aggressive or something,
Right.
to be able to capitalize on
Motivate
that.
them in order to
So they'd
attack
stop
them
being
more.
scared and actually go at you guys a little harder because they know you guys aren't going to fight back
And,
during that
and
moment.
sometimes it's I've noticed that some people, even with all the encouragement in the world, are kind of too afraid to really do that. So you just kind of have to. Sometimes you just almost have to force them along for it until they get more used to things.
For the new people, you're talking
Yeah,
Yeah.
the new people.
to engage.
It's
Yeah.
it's almost like you're trying to prod them to almost come out of a shell and be
Mhm.
like, hey, look,
Yeah.
it's okay to do this. We're not going to hurt you. But it's also, I think, like you were saying, they were kind of getting like overwhelmed, and we were trying to be like, okay, who is the leader of the new, heroes? Let's kind of, just like have them take a step back and just like you said, fight defensively. That way we can get our heroes to kind of come out of their shell and be like, okay, we can do this. This is what we're doing. So, and that way they're in that mindset of, okay, I can do this. I'm
It's
not,
okay
I'm not going to, get hurt or anything
Yeah.
like that. So,
Yeah, it's to try to get them to relinquish reservations that they have, like preconceived notions about what LARP is or what if it's like dorky or something. And to be fair, that's part of what the paper goblins are too, is so that to make sure that the first fight that they get into, they win essentially.
yeah.
And even them goblins are a little too easy sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Yeah.
I'd like to add this too, though. As someone who was on the other side of this particular patrol that was being discussed, I completely disagree with that person.
That it wasn't the worst one ever.
No, I thought it was actually rather good.
Oh, it's a lot better than I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah, like
I agree.
I disagree with them entirely. Like, I mean, I'm not saying that there was a moment where I was like, okay, maybe it's a little bit much for them, but immediately I pulled back everyone
Yep.
and I started sending people to their side. Like, if there was a moment where they were, quote unquote, overwhelmed, I feel like it was very momentary.
Yeah.
It was very quickly.
I mean,
remedied.
I addressed it quick.
Yeah, and there wasn't as many people like try harding as much or like going a little too hard. It was I think it was a good patrol.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not
I
just
only
saying
died,
that
like,
because
twice,
I
and-
let it. Like, I feel like it just was a good one. I feel like, pretty much every aspect went really well. I think things were explained really well. I think as a general rule, people did what I asked them to do.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree too. I guess I was saying, if
But,
we could do anything,
right.
that would be about the only thing I could think of to do is tell
Yeah.
them, hey,
Yeah.
I think that's
Fight
good
defensively.
advice. I just don't agree with the comment.
yeah, I don't either.
but
think that it was the
I
worst
still
one
think
ever,
that I appreciate their
Feedback.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, I appreciate their feedback. And it's like one of those things where I'll think of that like moving forward. Like, maybe I won't let it get to the point where they get overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also very. I mean,
it's a hard balance.
they're also
to,
kind of supposed to be overwhelmed in a certain aspect.
Yeah.
Like, the whole idea is that they show up, and whether it be one of them or three of them or five of them, however many new people there are, that you're going against a horde of goblins and orcs. Like, it's supposed to be like you're supposed to have one of those oh crap moments.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I look up and there's 25 of those people or 25
Yeah.
orcs. You're like, it's supposed to be a little overwhelming, I think.
yeah, and then I have a few things I say in between whenever I died back, like the first time when I die. I usually tell them, don't get discouraged. Eventually there'll be more heroes that'll show up from that patrol. They'll show up and help us. And I
Yeah.
have a few things that I implement as it develops that I think it is a really hard balance to. Yeah, I can barely hear that music. Sorry, you have music in the background. We're just gonna roll with it.
Yeah.
But it is a hard balance to keep, to make sure that they, you got to drag the fight out, but you don't want to drag it to the point out where they're getting discouraged, essentially.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
agree.
With the fight. So, but yeah, I think as long as we, it is a really important thing that the initiation or the patrol is.
And I've been adding to that.
There's not too much we can really.
I know you're saying you tell like the initiates or whatever that, hey, there's help on the way. Whenever I make sure I'm sending specific people over. The first heroes that I send over, I'm telling every one of them, when you get over there, you tell them there's people on the way. You tell them that the heroes are on the way. I've done that the last 3 times we've done initiation, and I hope that they're doing it like I'm telling them to.
Yeah, actually, because I was in on the initiation last week, and I know that there was Siren.
Yeah, Siren was one of the
Siren
main
did.
ones I sent over, and I said, you need to be really adamant about this, that there are heroes on the way. They just got pushed off by these orcs and goblins. They're on the way, though.
Yeah, and
You
and
make sure
Siren
to say
did.
that when you get over there.
And Siren did.
So
'Cause
I'm sending people I can trust to say that. I'm giving them speeches essentially about you make sure you do this right or whatever, just because I want it to go smooth for these new people.
right.
And if we get to where that gets really developed too, it'd be nice to be able to get you and whoever else ever plays the ogre together, and we all talk about that all at once.
Yeah. I mean, because the truth of the matter is we have like a really kind of rough idea of what this is supposed to be. And really the ogre or whoever's in charge over there, they're kind of implementing their own ideas and running it. I feel like it should be more like you make sure you do this.
More streamlined.
Like one of the things I do when we're doing initiation is I'll like make sure that I pick like 2 of the better players and I tell them no matter what, you're not going to play hero during this. Like you're going to stick with, I usually pick 2 people. Now, like you're both going to play orc the entire time. You make sure you help me control them when they're out there because I can't be out there.
Oh yeah, that's good.
If they push too far forward, I need you to pull them back. Like those kind of things. And then I make sure that those 2 come out with me at the end too. So it's not just the ogre by himself. It's the ogre and 2 like stronger orcs.
And then the other people too that aren't supposed to down the ogre, because we all kind of know that the only one supposed to down the ogre is the new people.
Yeah, I did have a problem with, I will say that I did have an issue with one particular player last week that kept stabbing me in the legs. That was not a new player.
That was trying to take.
And I just
leg out
kept, I mean, what do you do in that situation other than I just kept saying your blade's not sharp enough? Like,
Yeah.
like
tall enough.
you,
I heard you
like
say
what
that.
am I supposed to say? You're not a new player. Get out of here. Like, you know what I mean? You just kept doing it. But he also doesn't participate the entire time that they're there and those kind of things, that player. So it doesn't really matter. But yeah, I do think, and that sucks because I guess that's something I need to add to my speech beforehand is about, hey, at the end, unless I specifically am like, hey, you come and fight me, because I can do that
Unless
with
you
certain
call 'em
players,
out.
and they
Right.
know, hey, I'm just going to go die. But I don't think he really understood that. So I probably should explain that a little bit better before being judgmental or whatever, critical, I should say.
And I guess that's what I was saying. I was on you get everybody together to be on the same page about certain points. Make sure that there are certain points that you guys do know this is exactly the way it has to be done, because there really is. I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm tooting my own horn here, but I think initiation is genius. Like I think it's
Yes.
like it's straight up genius.
It's like 100
is.
times better than it used to be for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, it took the best aspect of being like overwhelmed, but you're not just in a mosh pit of
Yeah,
death.
I mean, that's how we used to do it.
Yeah.
The new person stands in a circle surrounded by 50 people,
Yeah.
and all of those people attack them at one
Just
time.
rush
Like
'em.
that was just
Yeah.
wasn't a good that wasn't a good motto or
Scary.
or whatever.
Yeah, because then they'd be like, "Wait, what's initiation? What do I do?" And we're like, stand out there in the middle and see if you can survive." And they're just like, okay."
Yeah. And then there were people that literally ran out of the park to get away from
Yeah.
people. Like,
Yeah. And then we looked at each other and we're like, well, maybe this isn't good for the game. And they ran home. So
yeah, that did happen.
They grabbed their Uber, was out.
Yeah, pretty much.
yeah. So
But yeah, I mean, I think basically to recap what you said, I mean, I think sometimes if you just tell people, hey, just go out there and fight defensively, which basically means don't swing at these new people.
don't make any attacks.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
Because you can fight defensively as hard as you want. You know,
Right.
Be like, get real close to them.
and some purple, like some people, like I said, I can't talk today. Some people, like they, like if I tell them basically to go take a dive, like I want you to go die, like they really show it way too much. Like there's like no acting there at all.
They'll
Like
come
they're
in and
like
just stand
weapons
there like
above
this.
their head and just kind of like lean into them. Like that's not what I wanted. That's
Which would fix that if you told them, fight defensively, but
Yeah.
you know, as hard as you want to fight, but don't just sit out there with your arms open waiting for them to just come slay you
Right.
or whatever. What were you going to say? You going to say something?
Oh yeah, it's just hard. Like when you tell people to like go easy, it's kind of hard to almost.
It's hard to figure out how easy to go
Yeah.
without looking like totally taking a dive, like you said.
I
Which is
think for
what-
future reference, I will say both. I think like when I'm telling them before the thing, like I'm like, you need to understand that like this isn't about you. Like we want, in a way, we need to take this a little bit easy on these people. Like it's about them feeling good. But if you're not capable of doing that, then you need to just fight defensively.
Yeah.
But I will say though, the only thing I don't like about what you're saying is telling them that they can fight as hard as they want. Like I'm not going to say that because there's some people that'll just run with that idea.
Oh. Yeah.
Like I think you just say, hey, if you are not capable of going in there and giving 20% or whatever and taking dives almost, then maybe
you
you
can't take
just
a dive without
just
making
don't
it look
kill
like you're
anyone.
taking a dive.
like
Yeah.
just go out there and you can defend yourself, but that's it. Like
Right.
but
Yeah. So yeah, going forward, we'll try to do that. Get on the same page about that, like you said. And then I guess we'll talk about this a little bit. We had a player bring up an idea about staying a squire essentially as long as he could, despite the fact of the cons of being a squire. And I don't like to tell anybody no about anything just immediately, because I feel like maybe I've shut things down that would have been a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, I think that concept is closed-minded, but
Yeah,
this is a terrible idea.
Yeah, this is
But what was it you just said earlier?
Yeah,
Anything after
After the-
but?
Yeah, it's all bullshit. But I think I have a really good way of explaining this, and I can even name drop in order to do it, or I don't even have to really. But here's the whole point of it. There is a handful of people out there that are more athletic and better fighters than everyone else. That is just the facts. Like, they are just better. And that's okay. Like, that's okay. But the way that we combat that is there are abilities in the game that make a less talented or a less athletic person good at the game.
yeah. Well,
Helps to
it just
compensate.
removes an entire skill, like, in of itself, which is like theory crafting or like building your character and your abilities up.
I mean, I feel like it's more than that. I mean, basically what this player was trying to do is they said, I like where I'm at right now because I feel like athletically and my fighting ability is essentially good enough that I don't want to have to deal with abilities at all. And that defeats the whole purpose of the game, because it's not fair to little Timmy or whoever who shows up and isn't athletic or isn't
Okay.
athletic as this person. And the whole way that they, like, their win
Compensate.
condition is to show up every week and to get XP and to level up and have these good abilities that do things, because they can't beat you in a sword fight.
Yeah.
We have to have both.
Yeah.
And it's not fair to these other players that may not be as athletically gifted as you. Period. End of story. That's
agree.
how I feel about it.
Well, also, I just think it's like it's just kind of breaking the game in your favor.
Well, that's the whole that's what this person was trying to do.
They
Yeah.
even knew. They said that it could be game breaking in that way.
Yeah,
So-
and it's not the game that Jason has created.
Yeah.
Yeah, and really, I think it kind of breaks the first rule. My thoughts on it is that it breaks the very first rule, which is about loopholing, basically. There's a rule, maybe it's not the first rule, but
It's in the book.
one of the first general rules is about misinterpreting an ability or using an ability in a way that it isn't designed for. And the whole reason why a Squire Crown protects you from any abilities above first level,
It's because you don't know the abilities yet.
yes, because you're brand new, and it's meant to not overwhelm you and give you like a small, just a dose of it until you have to worry about all the other abilities. And like, that's basically circumventing that or using that whenever he's not a new player. He's not, and he did say that he has difficulty sometimes grasping all the abilities, but I mean, there's a lot of abilities. The idea is we progress slowly and learn them as we go. When we grow as a group together, it's kind of easier to learn them, but it might be harder for somebody that starts new, but he's not one of those people.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to level up as fast as everyone else, and nobody's going to get abilities that are going to be introduced so quickly and so abundantly or whatever that he's going to be like not be able to figure them out. The first time you die to an ability that you don't understand, that's going to be like the last time you don't understand that ability.
Yeah. Definitely.
Right. No, I definitely agree. And I think that also transitions well into the whole XP thing that we were going to talk about. With it being a slower
Oh, yeah.
transition, it's going to be
Okay.
a lot easier for everybody to keep on board with what the abilities are currently in the game.
Oh yeah, the slow progression helps with that.
Yeah.
And honestly, Cody was saying here that about the leveling thing, about one of the topics he had was about the speed of leveling. And I'm coming at this from a business perspective.
Yeah.
The reason why I charge membership, and I've been upfront about this from the beginning, is for Phlarp to be able to become financially independent from me or my job. I don't have to put any money to it. It's done that now. And anything I do to the leveling system is going to undermine that. It's going to basically make it to where the people that do pay gold membership, it's not worth it for them to pay gold. And also all the leveling system and the progression is based on people paying gold. So for the ones who don't, it's kind of like, yeah, you can keep playing, but because they're not financially supporting the game, that's the con, essentially, to them not financially supporting the game. They don't level as fast as the people who do. But if I, for them, make it to where they can level faster, then I make that person who pays gold level like 5 times faster.
Yeah.
And then in a year, I'll have like everybody will be like 10th level or whatever it is. And basically, I don't ever want to do that again. I don't ever want to create a system of leveling progression that puts people in really high level. That the way it is now, if you started and somebody else came in, let's assume everybody was paying gold, and you started brand new and somebody else was already 10th level. Even with that person paying gold, you're going to reach about 8th or 9th before they ever level again. And the reason why is to keep that where everybody's kind of balanced out. And I just feel like it'd be like essentially bad for business. I mean, I'm not trying to be like greedy about it, but the way the business model is set up, I'd be shooting myself in the foot if I did that.
Yeah, well, my thoughts are were more around like levels 1 through 3 being just a little bit faster than they are right now. Not like a ton, but just a little bit more to make it to where like it's, because I've noticed like one of the big issues with another topic that's going to be addressed, which is the Black Knight or whatever, is there's no one's really level 2 yet to deal with it, and we've had to like create like workarounds.
Well, Wilhelm could be. Nobody's doing the squire tests as much as they should be.
Yeah.
Like, people basically, instead of fixing that for them, I want them to want to get to first. Like, I want them to want to pay gold membership to get to second level faster. And the people who are second level, they should want to hang on to their little squire test thing and want to get it filled out. Like Isaac could have done it with me. Or Argus could have done it with me all week, and he didn't do it. Because as soon as they finish that, they can pick their second level abilities, and his second level ability is Cure Ailment.
Yeah, I guess.
So it would fix the Black Knight. You know,
it's just my general thoughts. I've heard people complain. Like, someone mentioned today that like Rogue isn't really a class until you get at least level 2.
Yeah.
And then like Wizard is really not a class. So you get like level 3, and it does feel kind of bad. And I just think like you'd see a little bit more class diversity if it was just a little bit faster than it is right now.
Well, I would eventually anyway, but the question is, how do I, like, all that would be doing is making them level faster, right? Like,
yeah.
What would I, like, all that does is knock out the incentive to pay gold.
Well, yeah, you'd have to find a workaround to make it to where gold is still worth getting. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think, what was it? I had like, was it like, because right now it's like what, like, 2,000 something to get
2,500 XP.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and that went down from 5,000. It was 5,000 originally, and I changed the bottom 3 levels to 2,500.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe just making it to like get level 2 a little bit faster would just be enough, I think. But it does feel kind of discouraging sometimes, with how slow the leveling is. But that was just, I've heard people complain about it, and I've thought it does feel a little slow. So that was my, I guess, thoughts on the matter. But I understand it from a business perspective. It makes the gold and stuff less rewarding, and you have to find other ways to make it worth your time.
Well, I'd actually like to add to this topic also. I know I haven't said anything, but when we before we reset the leveling, I feel like I have like a unique perspective basically when it comes to this particular topic, because I was the highest level player in the game. I was like level 22. I couldn't tell you how much more XP than everyone else, basically like an obnoxious amount. And it got to the point to where I was such high level, there were no more abilities for me to get anymore. Like we hadn't created enough abilities.
Yeah, just waiting on development of abilities.
And I also will tell you that I felt like when I got high enough level that I was invincible. To an extent. I mean, like it would have taken 4 people coming up and just bombarding me with abilities in order to kill me, that like I wouldn't have been able to keep up with mentally. But not because of the abilities I had, it was because just Brandon couldn't keep up. And I just don't want us to get there that quickly, because I personally feel like the game is almost better right now when there's not a lot of broken abilities in the game.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I think if we got there too quickly, one, it would undermine the whole gold thing, which is a big deal, because the whole idea of us taking money from people for membership and stuff is not only so Phlarp can support itself and buy the things that it needs, but also we have an end goal of getting to property.
Yeah.
Like, I know you were out at the property.
Yes.
And
Is it
though the park is great, and I love it, I love Phlarp in general, going to personal property is a whole different experience.
It really is.
And it is better. It just is.
agree.
Yeah.
You get out there, every single person is in costume. It's all in character the entire time. Like, we're having some role play issues right now where people don't necessarily want to role play. Well, one, because no one's in costume, myself included. I will say that.
Yeah.
But also because, like,
It's hard to
no one wants to
immerse yourself.
role play out at the park. Like, it's a hard feeling. But when we go out to property, it's so much better. And so, like, it's necessary to take this money from people right now.
Yeah.
And also, this is coming from somebody who pays for gold membership every month. I don't even play.
Mm-hmm.
I don't play. And I still pay every month for gold membership because it supports Phlarp, and I give a damn about Phlarp.
Yeah, no, totally.
So I don't think that we should reward. And I also understand, like, I'm not sitting up here on my high horse saying that I don't think we should increase how like much experience people are getting for any reason other. Like, I also understand that people can't always pay for gold membership. I get that. Like, you may not have the funds, whatever. But I also feel like if you don't pay for gold membership and you complain about how quickly you're gaining XP, that's kind of on you.
Because there is a way for you.
There
to
is
be
a
able
way
to-
for you to get faster XP.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that you may not have the means or whatever, but I just feel like if you're not doing the things that you can do in order to get faster XP, I don't really feel like it's fair to have a bitch about getting slow XP. And that's just my opinion on it.
I mean, that's fair. That's why, like, with, like, your comments about people getting leveled, like, too fast and being overpowered, that's why I thought, like, the best middle ground would be to make it just the first, like, level, like, second level being, like,
Or like,
I mean, but to be
is
fair-
anybody that's paying gold complaining that they're not leveling fast enough?
yeah, I think, not so much complaining, but I've heard people, like, I don't want to name names. I've heard people
Sure.
that, like, pay that are, like, this still feels kind of slow.
Hmm.
Early levels. It's usually just, like, it'd
I
be
don't
nice-
feel that way.
I mean, and they're the same. But also, this kind of rolls into another subject that I didn't talk about last time that I could talk about this time that might help what you're saying a little bit. When we go from the park, we're not giving up the park. What we're going to do is we're going to make it to where there's other stuff. I'm going to, like, condense it down where it's not a huge thing, but we're basically going to do an arena thing at the park where we progress every year to, like, 20th level.
Mm-hmm.
So there's going to be, like, a super increase in leveling progression once we go to the park. To where we can test, like, abilities, like it'll be seasonal. Do you remember we were talking about doing seasons
Yes,
for a little while?
I do. I remember that.
And that'll help people level up way faster, and just if they're just there to, like, do big abilities and become, like, a huge god or whatever, they can do that every single year, and it'll help us improve the abilities for the other people at the park, even if they never went to property.
That was another thing I was gonna bring up is that, like, I remember you addressing it at one of the first meetings when we were, like, discussing getting it back, like, started back up. Was it was just so hard to playtest stuff because no one was, like, ever gonna get to those high level abilities for some classes, so you didn't know what was good or what was, like, weak or what was really good.
So that may be something that, you know, right now that doesn't help much. But later on, if somebody's more interested in the playing and getting abilities and doing all that, they can just play at the park and not go to the property at all.
Yeah.
But they could also do both. They could play at the property and play at the park and get XP for time-based.
Yeah, that was also, like, a thing I was gonna mention is that, like, yeah, it's, like, totally different when you're on property, but one benefit of the park is the free publicity.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to give up that time slot for
Yeah.
sure. But it would be like I was saying, it'd be a different game in that you would level, like, crazy fast. Like, you'd be leveling, like, twice a month or something.
But
Even
again,
if you
to do
didn't have
that,
membership.
yeah, I was gonna say, but again, to do that though, if you wanted to get to level 20 within the year, you
Then
would
you
have
would
to
have
pay
to have
membership
membership,
still,
yeah.
even in that
Yeah.
seasonal game.
Yeah, you may only make it to 10th
Level 10, yeah.
So, and also another thing is, I'm really reluctant. Okay, so giving them more XP, nobody's going to complain about that. But as soon as I change something, I can never give them less XP. Like, I can always increase or, like, you know, decrease it for them, the level gap or the XP gap between level 1 and 2. But if I do that, I can never undo that.
Yeah.
I'll
'cause-
lose players if I undo that.
Yeah, you will.
So I have to be really. That's probably why I'm like, I'll die on this hill.
Uh-huh.
It would take a lot of convincing for me to change
Yeah.
it again after I've changed it the once and that was already having it.
Mhm.
But I'm not completely closed off to it. But,
Yeah, that's fair. That was just my general thoughts on the matter. Is that
yeah.
like,
and we
I
can bring it up with some more people when we have them in here.
Yeah.
Just to see if
get a better like.
I mean, the truth of the matter is that if you're paying gold membership, you can reach level 2 in like a month.
Mhm.
I mean, like literally 4 or 5 weeks, you can reach level 2. So, assuming you're participating in every event and you're there every
Mhm.
week.
Mhm.
What about like diamond freaking membership?
Well, I mean,
I should be in that category. I really should.
oh yeah, you want to be more powerful
Because I paid my gold
and
membership,
then also signed up for.
and then
Patreon.
on Patreon I signed up for gold membership.
Shout out to our Patreons.
Absolutely.
Patreons, I'm right here.
Yeah.
What?
And Davine.
Davino and
And so Dobie over there, I think I should be, diamond membership. I think that's what
we'll
I
get
should
you a
be.
diamond.
Yeah.
I'll take care of you.
It better be like three carats, bro.
I'll get you 3 carrots.
Hell yeah.
On the it's a little off topic, but I was
From
messaged
harps.
earlier as well about the rule on whiffing shots. To
Oh,
kinda-
you mean the grazing?
yes, the grazing.
Yeah, I have that. That's the last thing I guess I got down here. And we are approaching an hour, so this should be about good. I'll go over the 3 graze things, and then you tell me if that hit any of what you were talking about. There's 3 graze rules. 1, it hits just your costume. That's, clearly a graze. That if it's obviously a graze where it wouldn't have hit you otherwise, it just, hit your costume. The second one is if you have weapons locked up with someone or a shield, like if you go to swing at somebody and you contact their shield or their sword first, and then you contact them while maintaining contact with the sword or shield, that can also be considered a graze. That's not something I ever do. I don't ever call that for somebody like when they're fighting me, but it's to allow people that may not be as physically strong that are just getting like overpowered for a second, or even like I've seen people hit a shield and the sword kind of
Bends.
warp
Yeah.
around the shield and tap their shoulder.
Uh-huh.
Well, they don't have to take that. They can say graze. And then the other one is if it comes down the weapon and contacts their hand, but it doesn't come off the weapon, which is kind of the same as the last rule I just said,
Yeah.
really. If it contacts the weapon and then runs into their hand, basically, then that's a graze.
Uh-huh.
But I've openly hit, like if you openly hit their hand, that's not
Yeah.
a graze. So that's the 3 graze rules. We used to have different ones, but we turned them all into one thing.
Uh-huh.
So did that cover what were you?
I wasn't really
Do
sure.
you know what the scenario was, or?
Not a lot, just that they wanted it brought up. I think someone had an issue with it.
Yeah. So, again, this is coming from Rand Rainwalker. He said, I thought that kind of hit was when it was on a weapon and then hits you, not, just you barely scraped me. So I think there are people that are thinking that
The
graze,
costume rule.
the graze is literally, it just barely touched me. No, if it barely touched you, that's still a hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we address that at the
technical-
beginning of next week too,
Yeah, maybe the technical, and like I was saying, there
because
used to be
that's not
different
what we
calls.
mean by graze rule.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did. I could get where like if you had a literal interpretation of it though, to think that just means it barely grazed me. But
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
not-
Well-
there was something brought up today during the melee tournament where basically someone was saying a shot didn't count because it was just the like the cover from the sword that hit them, like the very edge of it, like was like past the foam. And we were like, yeah, no, like that still counts. Like,
Yeah.
what do you mean?
Yeah, no. It
That's not what we're talking
Yeah.
about when we say graze rule. We're saying you're hitting their sword and then contacting them, or you're
Well,
powering through their shield or
Yeah.
whatever it is.
And because we used to have 3 different calls. It was the graze was for, or it wasn't even graze. It was like costume or something.
Yeah, garb,
and
whatever.
there was
Yeah,
test of
guard.
strength.
Test of strength was one,
Yep.
and then
Which is what we're talking about.
Maybe
But
I
just
guess-
pushing
Yeah.
through somebody's weapon. That doesn't
Yeah.
count.
I guess maybe the graze thing when I did use it before was for the hand, sliding down a weapon and then hitting your hand could be called a graze. But yeah, it just got complicated to have a bunch of different calls.
Yeah, it's
so we just
easier
condensed
just
them
to-
into one. Yeah. And maybe like you say, we just need to reiterate
Well,
that before next game.
yeah.
so.
Also, I think we have a lot of imp guard players out, and
Mhm.
their idea of graze is like something lightly going across your arm.
Oh,
So-
and it wasn't like
mean,
a full contact.
Yeah.
That's
just
fair,
in there.
but we're not amp guard.
Yeah,
And
I think
so we're
yeah.
gonna have to buckle down on the
Yep.
people that think you have to swing baseball style in order to hit somebody.
Mhm.
I mean, that's all
Yeah.
that is. And to be fair, one of those players left the game today because they were
He-
basically called out for swinging too hard.
He did
Mhm.
knock the weapon clear out of his hand, and he's a big dude, so I was kind of. But you know what happens.
Mhm.
I mean, it happens.
But you
I
really,
agree,
what's
but-
weird is you really don't have to swing. I mean, I do amp guard. You really don't have to swing those weapons that hard. They're like they almost don't weigh anything.
They're so light.
They're
that,
super
Yeah.
light. You can
Mhm.
just a little like that, and it'll make a loud pop, which is all you need.
Well, I think
you
the
can
big
already-
difference too, though, is some people are swinging like that and kind of powering through, rather than understanding that we are a touch game, which means I can swing. I can even swing kind of hard as long as I kind of pull back at the end, so it's not powering through a player.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they're pool noodle. They're gonna make noise. It's clear when you hit somebody. I don't have to knock them over in order to hit them.
I think in some cases too, people are. It's like a move of desperation. They'll be like in a situation where they hear somebody coming up on them, and they're just like turn and spin and swing real hard to be like to
Or-
get that person.
I've noticed some people will
Which-
just like do multiple attacks over and over and over again, which can get a little like. I know I've seen some people get mad at that.
You know, and I can understand the whole, spinning and being caught off guard and defending
trying to-
yourself.
yeah.
I can understand that. That's a normal human reaction.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But whenever you're just doing it because, I'm upset, or I think I have to show my dominance. Bro, like we're all
or because you want to win worse than
Yeah.
you want to not hurt people.
Yeah. Oh,
like
I
the simple thing is we are out here to have fun.
And not get
Yeah.
hurt. Yeah.
It's we are out here
Which-
to have fun and share camaraderie and just have fun being in a social setting, and that's all it is. It's not I have to win. I
Yeah.
have to. No,
well, another thing I
then
want to
you're in
bring
the
up
wrong game.
on that matter is people who will like run at you full sprint and then they'll just try and jam their weapon into you. I've noticed a few people do that, and it can like be pretty painful. Like I had
or,
someone
intimidating.
I had someone run a sword like into my throat, and then I had someone run a sword into my shoulder, which was fine. It was a kill shot, but a little hard, and they're running at your full sprint, so they can't exactly like they're throwing their whole momentum into their point of a sword, and it's a heftier sword, so
Now, I mean, if they were doing it to Dobie over there, then that's quite legal. It's perfectly fine, and I would totally put a bounty out on him so that anybody does that, I will personally. Do I have any gold? I don't know. If I have gold, then I will put some out there for whoever does it.
You'll have a dime in this upcoming week.
But yeah, there's a lot of things we could work on a little bit, and we'll reiterate with the graze rule next time.
Well, this is a good one. We're
All right,
just
we're
getting
gonna
straight
get
into this.
yeah, we're gonna get in the suggestion box.
straight
Did we
into
figure out
suggestion.
Black Knight? Hey, I think Black Knight's getting nerfed to 1 use. We did Black Knight. That's basically.
Is that what we decided? Because
pretty
I
sure.
thought the workaround that we put in there
If
would,
you
would
think-
be fine. But
Okay,
that's
then we'll
just
just
me.
leave it for a little
well,
while.
Because I didn't realize that there was a workaround at all.
So
Yeah.
the workaround is 3 blades.
Yes, if 3 people lay their blade,
Yeah.
try to kill them at once, they die.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like. The only thing I didn't like was the idea of the Black Knight being used as a win condition. If there's a
Yeah.
workaround, I'm fine.
So because the team would have to be lesser than what? 3 people to not be able to do that. You'd have to have less than.
Oh, I see. So technically, it still could be an issue, but
yeah.
maybe we should make it 1 use then.
I-
Just let's eliminate that issue altogether. You're still making a player not be able to come back.
Yeah. It's pretty. It's
And
still
if they don't
really
want to role
strong.
play and they just want to sit out the rest of the game, I guess sit out the rest of the game until
Yeah.
there's some kind of counter in the game.
Yeah.
I can't change the game just because nobody
Right.
has gotten.
No, I
high enough
agree.
level.
I think maybe just having a limited number of uses, because it can be a little oppressive when people are like, "Oh, this is unlimited. We're not gonna
But-
try and win the game through the objective. We're just gonna Black Knight everyone and win by default."
By default, yeah.
Yeah.
One and done.
And originally the reason I put that as infinite use is because I assumed that it would be hard to do.
Yeah.
Basically. But,
Well, people were using the stun on the
that's true. A stun and then that
to
would work really
to do
well.
it purposefully. Yeah.
So yeah, Black Knight's getting nerfed. But I do have a question. or sort of nerfed.
Yeah.
If we do that though, if we just make it one use, do we take off the 3-blade thing?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. Then
Or
we're-
make it like a ridiculous number like 5, to where it's like you need a whole team to do it or something if you want to keep an in-game technical out.
I think if you make it one use, there's cure ailments, and I think that should be the end of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
personally.
and like I was saying, our healer is high enough level to get cure ailment, and he gets 2 of those charges, so
Okay.
he would be able to do it, cure that more than he could actually do it.
Yeah. Then that's fair. I think it's probably healthier at one use, but you're like you gotta spend another ability to get rid of it.
This one here,
If it's a specific player, just set it there. So we're gonna go through the suggestion
this one
box
is
now.
about a specific music that somebody thinks should be added.
Oh, okay.
So I'm gonna set this aside
You can
to.
go ahead and read it out loud though, just for.
We
We play music.
I
at the
don't know that I can. I definitely
okay.
can make out Lords of Firo, maybe. I'm not really sure, but it is battle
If
music
anybody
is what it
understands
says.
that reference, put it in the comments.
Yes, please. There's also Martin something or another maybe in here. I'm not
Oh,
sure.
this
That's
is
kind of hard to read.
beautiful. This one says at level 1, Blood Knight should be only one use.
Blood
Or
Knight?
Black Knight. It meant Black Knight. I
Yeah.
think. It says Blood Knight, but I think they meant Black Knight.
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
that's addressed.
at any level, it'll be, I guess, one use.
Yep.
So.
This one's clearly addressed to me. It says you look pretty. Thank you for
Oh,
that.
no, I think that one's mine. I think that's
No,
me.
no, I had this one.
I
so-
believe the player can vouch for me in the comments that that one's for me.
I mean, that's about facts right
Yeah.
there. At least the first half.
That's strange that it's like 2 people.
I have one that I have no idea if this is an E or an F,
Okay.
but they did put a smiley face.
Oh,
So I
Finn, maybe?
maybe it's
Ian?
Finn for.
I don't know. Something.
I mean, Finn isn't Finn French for finished?
don't know.
I don't know what that's supposed to be.
Yeah, I don't know, but it has a smiley face.
Ian smiley face.
Cool.
This one says nothing. It literally has the word
Nothing.
nothing. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks for putting something in the box.
yeah, thank you.
This one says Babylonian. Apparently, people are sick of hearing Babylonian at the park, and I actually agree.
This one says more like today.
Yeah,
Cool.
today was cool.
Yeah.
Today was good.
Today
This one's
was good.
interesting. It says let healer have more heals that he can use on other than not himself at early levels. The heal that he has, he can use on other people and on himself, and he gets it at first level. So I don't know what these people want. And also at 4th level, he gets a thing called, or it's like 5th, or it might even be higher than that, like
Where,
6th level.
triples his
Yeah,
heals.
it's called Pocket Healer, and for every one heal he buys, he gets 3. So
So you can get
Yeah.
up to 9 heals.
They
which
get
is
a
pretty
ton of
dope.
heals.
I don't think there's too much we need to do about that. Hopefully that was addressed. If somebody feels like it wasn't, we can, put it back in there, I guess. Elden Ring music. Cool. I can do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, Elden Ring music's good.
So it's all music.
Doing a good job. Some games need fixed though. Smiley face.
Probably referring to the Bannerman today, and I feel like
Yeah.
we've already
Yeah.
addressed that.
Cool.
This one says the moment someone argues with a ref and attorney, they should be disqualified. I did have that happen today. So,
Aye, that did happen.
and I just told him I wasn't arguing with him and to move on.
And also we did video, and a couple of times we had to use the slow mo
That's true.
just
We
to
did.
double check.
I was definitely wrong about needing it. We did need it a couple times.
So
Oh,
it's
cool.
a good thing that we did use
It's
it.
probably like just helpful to have. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So,
I think it's
and-
cool to be able to do that and go back like
Yeah.
some kind of
Yeah.
NFL ref. We got to convene and look at
Yeah.
look at the footage.
Yeah.
It was cool to show them afterward too. When I did that with
Yeah.
JD, I showed him afterward. I said, "Did you see this? Where he got? Yeah, I think it was JD and Rand.
Yeah,
or
it was on
somebody."
that
Yeah.
first Last Man Standing.
And
yeah.
then he was like, "Oh, okay, I see. It like helped him understand why we made the decision. I like looking at it first and then making the decision and then taking it to them and saying, "This is why we made the decision."
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Although it would be nice if they just didn't. If they were
If
just
they
like,
just took their
"Okay,
hits like
no
they were
matter
supposed
what."
to.
Yeah.
Well, that too. Yeah. And even the thing he was trying to do was kind of wild. Like he was purposefully taking a hit to be able to get a kill.
Yeah, but he missed.
But it didn't work. Yeah. And this one just says Battle Song, Thunderstruck, AC/DC, and Bardic Inspiration. So whoever put
Who got
Bardic
Bardic
Inspiration
Inspiration?
must have meant like that we needed specific songs and stuff.
Fair
I
enough.
guess.
I mean, Thunderstruck. I definitely
That's a good song.
the hell
Yeah.
rock on.
Okay, and then we have this one just says thank you, awesome day, banner, good game, minor tweaks are always great, room to improve, nothing is perfect.
I mean,
Cool. This is, like,
overall,
the
it
best.
seems like we've
I
had
think that is
very,
the
very
best suggestion.
positive
Yeah, it's a sweet
suggestion box that
suggestion,
we. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I like the way we do our suggestion box, how we try to get everybody to put something in there, even if it's not.
Even if it's literally
Yeah.
nothing.
It's better that they put
Yeah.
something in.
Literally.
Yeah, it's better they put something in than actually like not put nothing at all and not bother.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah. And I have those videos if you want me to.
Yeah, I will get. I got to get
Send
a
'em too.
cable. Do you take? Well, anyway, we'll talk about that afterward. I guess that's it then, everybody.
I take Cash App, Apple Pay.
apparently 3 carrots. If anyone would like to break Eric the Red 3 carrots next week.
Yes, I take carrots. So, yeah, I'm good. You
All
good?
right. So that's the. Where's you got that outro?
I have it right here pulled up.
Okay.
So anyway, I guess.
Oh, let me shout out. Real
oh,
quick,
yeah.
the Patreon again.
Yes.
I'm not gonna do the whole thing again because I'm sure you guys probably already heard it. But basically, go to our Patreon. We got a Patreon. We also got a Facebook and YouTube. Go to all those places, like everything, subscribe, comment. Please leave comments below if you have any kind of feedback whatsoever. Even negative feedback is fine. We'll talk about it on the next podcast. So
And just to be clear, guys, we're talking about if you do a recurring for gold membership, we're talking about less than $4 a week. Less than $4 a week, you get 4 or 5 times the amount of XP, and it really helps out Phlarp. So if you have the ability to do it, please do. Please. I mean, I don't know what to say other than that. You know.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
mean, this-
and again, you know, like he was trying to say, it's like all of this gets put back into the game. So everything that, you know, North, everything he brings out, like the rings, the, you know, equipment, having the computer, things like that.
those locks, I bought all that stuff with Phlarp money.
Everything that, you know, you get as far as financial wise goes back into the game. That's just like the
Yeah.
equipment for the podcast. It is literally going back to the game because we're reaching out to not just our people, but maybe other listeners.
Yeah.
So everything goes back to the game. So it's not just, hey, we want you, you know, to give us your money. That's not what this is. It's literally we want to make our game better.
Yep.
Then keep growing
Agreed.
as much as possible.
Yeah, well, because you get more loner weapons, which is always nice, and
And we got a ton of them thanks
Oh, yeah.
to Jason. He made,
Yeah.
I mean, what'd you end up making? Like 15, 20
yeah,
swords?
something like that.
they're nice
20
too.
Yeah, I mean, that in addition to the ones that we already had. I mean, I think we have a
Yeah.
good number of loner weapons right now. But
And also, I did want to say, for people who don't know, we are in Park Hills, Missouri. So if anybody hasn't ever come out and tried us, and you're close enough to make it, you know, come on out. We've got, you know, in fact, if you listen to this podcast for next weekend and you come up as you are logging in and you say the code word pumpernickel, you'll get extra XP
yeah, I'm down with that.
as an indication that you listen to the podcast. That goes
Yeah.
for you too. So, and I did give you XP for last weekend. I'll
Oh,
give you
okay.
again this weekend for appearing on the
Sweet.
podcast.
Also, don't be telling nobody about this code word. They got to find
Yeah.
it on their own.
Oh, yeah.
If I
don't
see
worry.
people going around giving it out, I'm gonna change like the code word.
Yeah.
That's not gonna be good no more, and it's gonna change each week anyway. So if you know it this week, it's not gonna be the same for next week. So.
Yeah.
And then I was gonna say something else. I don't remember what it was though. Oh, and shout out to Rand. He bought a drum, so we were looking for a drum for
Oh.
initiation. He
Awesome.
bought one and
Nice.
sent it to my address or whatever because he's moving soon. So, but yeah, so we'll have a
That's
drum
awesome.
soon for patrol, which is awesome.
Cool.
That should help set the
yeah.
mood. All
I
right,
like that.
so I guess that's it, right? Did I
All
do-
right, guys. Well, we hope you keep listening.
Yeah. Take it easy.
And we hope you keep battling in the honor of our capital.
Oh gosh. Okay. Good day to you all. Bye.
Bye.